Welcome to New Business in Later Life with me, Ildiko Seeley. I'm an Encorepreneur, the routine queen, and the champion of thriving over 50. I'm obsessed with morning routines, energized living, and building businesses that work with your life, not against it. Each week, I share real-life stories from bold later life entrepreneurs who have said no thanks to retirement and hell yes to reinvention, while discussing good health routines for great business. Whether you are launching your first venture or scaling your Encore, you are in the right place. Let's get you fired up, focused, and firmly in the driver's seat of your next chapter. Let's dive in. My guest today is a man who's lived a life full of reinvention and resilience. He discovered his entrepreneurial streak at school. He was buying sweets in bulk and turning a tidy profit. He went on to become an apprentice in a company employing half his family. From there, he carved out a colourful and eclectic career that spanned everything from pet food factories, aircraft design, to chocolate production, and even Cheerio lines. He's turned failing projects around, worked across continents, and earned a reputation for getting things done. All this with a side helping of a quirky sense of humour and zero tolerance for office politics. When his mum was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, he stepped up to care for her, walking away from a high-flying role in Aerospace. That pivotal moment led him to property, where he bought and renovated 19 houses in just 17 months. Exhausting? Yeah. Life-changing? Absolutely. Today, he mentors others through his book Painless Property Investment, with more titles on the way and a new training and armchair investment business in the works. Please welcome the endlessly resourceful, always entertaining Dave Thomas. Good afternoon, Dave. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Rodrigo.
Thank you very much for joining me here. Let's jump straight in. So the podcast is called New Business in Later Life. How old were you when you started up your most recent business?
Most recent business, probably about 68.
Okay. And what is this most recent business?
I decided to become an author.
Okay.
I've always fancied writing, but I decided to really go all out for it. I was finishing up at work as a freelancer, and I decided let's find something to
do
every day. Yeah.
What was your freelancing job?
I was engineering, project management,
Okay.
manufacturing engineering, various industries, and I used to enjoy some of that. Just get me away from the wife most of the week as well.
She won't be happy to hear that.
Oh, she was.
Oh, maybe. Yeah, I know. I've conversed with people where
the same. You probably do the same yourself.
I'm playing for the opposite team, but yeah, some say that the secret to a long and happy marriage is not to be in the same room. I'm kind of
too long. Yeah,
the opposite. It's never enough. But hey, went on to a second husband. Yeah. It's now perfect.
Well, we've been married 43 years, so.
Oh, well,
yeah.
She's got the right to say, go and do something else. But anyhow, what is the topic of your book?
Well, I've always been interested in property.
Right.
This is my other interest that I started later in life. But I just felt that there was too much bluff going on about how you could buy properties, to buy properties. People wanted to charge people lots of money for very simple things. And my job when I started out was to buy, refurbish, rent, refinance.
Right, yeah. So a good old-fashioned buy-to-let.
Yeah, typical 2 ups, 2 downs type properties. Yeah. And I just felt that people were trying to make it into a magic science rather than just a simple process. So I decided to just write a simple 4-chapter book: purchase, refurbish, rent and refinance.
The BRRR, isn't it?
BRRR. So that's why I went. So when I started out, we used to call it purchase. It changed to buy because I think people thought purchase was a big word, so we changed it to buy. So that's what I did, and I just put down all my thoughts on how I'd bought properties and what I thought people should do, and people should learn before they even decided they're going to buy a property. Because it's a big investment, as if you know yourself.
I know it myself, indeed. So the questions that are coming up in my head aren't there enough books already?
Probably, but it started out, I suppose, as a vanity. Okay. I wanted to write, and I was finding I was getting nowhere. I had a lot of trouble writing.
Okay.
I knew what was up here in my head, but trying to get it to my fingers was difficult. And I found that I was thinking too much and thinking too far ahead of what I was trying to write. So I found a guy who mentored me slightly, and his words to me were write 3 words a day. Just write 3 words a day, every day, about anything. And you'll soon fill the book up. And I found
That's
that
really interesting because that sounds so restrictive. But what did you do?
not
Did you write the
just-
3 words and then continue, or
well,
just?
this is the thing. He says you start writing 3 words, and all of a sudden you think 3 words isn't enough. So you'll write a sentence, and then you'll think, well, that sentence, all of a sudden you've got a paragraph,
Yes.
and then
Soon
before
enough,
you
you
know
have a
it,
page.
before
Yeah.
that, you've got a page of words, and then he says you don't have to write it all in one sitting. He said every successful author seems to sit down at 9:30 and write till 12:30, and that's their day work.
Okay.
And they probably just start with a blank sheet of paper and write 3 words and go on. And that's I always found that as a great way to start.
Yeah. Well, how about, because we all operate differently. My structured brain is saying, how about breaking it up by just writing down the structure of what you want to write about, and then when you start narrowing it down, okay, so today I'll write about this little bit and then that little bit. How does it work for you?
I wrote my book in an app called Workflowy.
Okay.
And basically you set up pages like
Right,
chapters,
okay.
and then you write a bit, and then it just stores it. You can swap it around inside the app.
It's a program, yeah.
So you just put it, and then all of a sudden you find that you can write a bit about, say, refurbishment today. You're thinking, oh, what should I talk about? Oh, talk about kitchens. How do you refurbish a kitchen? What should you do? What shouldn't you do? And then maybe an hour or two later, you're thinking, how do I clarify what refinance is? So you write that. So you go into that section of Workflowy, and you write, a couple of paragraphs about that. So and then at the end of once you start looking at it, it's not all necessarily in the right order. But
at least you're pouring your thoughts onto paper, so to speak.
Yeah, you're dropping it down onto virtual paper. And that way then you can, once you've got it down, the hardest thing is to put things on paper. I always used to find when I was working, in corporate life, that people would not write anything. And as soon as you wrote something, they had loads of ideas because you'd actually been the first to put something down on a sheet of paper.
Yeah.
And it's easy to be critical of something that's written down than something that you've got in your head. Or something that they've got in their head. Why I never lasted very well in corporate, because I was a bit blunt. I called a shovel, but I called them a bit more than that sometimes. I had lots of disagreements with people about that, because I believe I made a commitment to you to come on your podcast.
Right.
So I thought it'd be good for you, and great for me. I thought personally, it'd be great to speak to someone, get my thoughts out there.
Yes.
No matter what people think of them. But and I just felt that people need to commit to things and do things. And I found in the corporate world, people would say yes, yes, yes. And you go to the next meeting and they hadn't done it. So that used to,
because it was never written down. Although, what happened to the good old admin person or someone who took minutes? I never had
time. The months slipped past. Yeah, you've worked hard, got everything done that you want to do and more to take it forward.
Except what you promised.
And their bit that they haven't done, But they've been busy all month doing nothing. So, we used to have lots of rows about that.
Oh, well, but, I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that.
Working for myself, I felt I set my own targets, set my own goals. Even when I worked freelancing, I tended to be the guy who sat in the corner and came up with good ideas for relaying out food factories, doing bits for self-propelled guns for the army.
Okay.
Bits for planes. I worked across a vast range of industries.
Sounds fascinating.
And make cost savings, and always good at getting things on time. Apart from my own projects. My own projects are never on time.
You know how it is. It's the mechanic's car that doesn't work, isn't it? And the builder's house that's falling down.
Yeah.
So going back to being an author, so you said you've had this idea for a long time. Are you able to actually find the root of where it comes from, that you wanted to write a book?
No, not really. I've always liked writing. Back in junior school, we had to write a diary about your day.
My death.
And I'm just thinking, when you're 9 and 10, not much goes on in your life.
I think a zillion things go on in your life. You just go to school.
Yeah, you go to school, you go out and play with your mates, but you're nothing exciting. So my uncle played football for the local football team.
Okay.
So I actually started a story. It wasn't my diary, it was a story.
Okay.
And I was the youngest player in their team at 10 years of age. And I'd go to training with them, and I'd go off to games with them. And my teacher read it and said, "This is all rubbish." I said, "No, it's not rubbish." I said, "It's just,
really?
It's writing." She said, "But I want you to write about your life." I said, "My life is come to school, go home, have something to eat, go out and play with my friends, go to bed. I said, that's not much of a thing to write about all day long. I tried it.
It sounds like you vividly remember this conversation.
yeah,
That's how it comes across from 10 years old.
I can't remember what my wife told me this morning before I came to work. I can remember discussions with my school teacher when I was 10, 63 years ago, you know.
Well, it just goes to show that obviously that left a massive mark on you. But it sounds like, okay, you didn't quite fulfill the writing a diary, but it sounds like you were writing like a little dream, a story,
I got an award for it from the school. Because they thought it was so good.
Yes.
Even the teacher said, we've read it, we all love it, but it's not your diary, but we think it's great. And they gave me a book token, so I went and bought a book. You know, I thought it was fantastic.
Do you still have that story? Do you still have that, whatever you were writing it into a little book?
No. That was kept at school. It was one of those exercise books, you know. They kept them all at the school, so.
What a shame.
Yeah.
Because you could have published then.
Yeah, well.
So it goes back a long time. Were there any other ideas throughout your working life where you thought, oh, this would make a good book?
Well, I've had lots of fun. In property, I've met lots of nice people, and I've met lots and lots and lots of not so nice people, and lots of stories about those. And I'm just thinking that if I wrote a book about
a book of stories
about property, I could be in court cases for the rest of my life because people will recognise themselves.
I would say if you don't name them,
I think some of them will recognise themselves.
Well, you could say it wasn't you. It was somebody who was like them.
Yeah, there is always that. It's always that on the back burner as something else to do. Yeah.
Back at home in Plymouth, there is a guy who runs a networking group, and he wrote a book a few years ago, and it's all about stories of mistakes.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's still selling it on Amazon, and he's built his entire networking community on the back of that, his experiences and, so to speak, failures, but then, of course, learnings from them.
I've done a couple of books that history's always interested me.
Right.
And one of the things my mentor said was, think of 7 things. So I was sitting on a sunbed, Tenerife, with my iPad, and I thought, 7 things. We'd had the chat the Thursday before I went away, and I thought, 7 best Spurs managers. I'm a Tottenham Hotspur supporter.
Are you now?
Top of my world now. We just won the European
I'm
trophy.
an ex-football widow of a Spurs fan.
Oh, well, yeah. My wife is still a Spurs widow, even though we met on the terraces. We met on the terraces at White Hart Lane. Her grandfather and grandmother also met on the terraces at White Hart Lane.
Oh, wow.
All them many, many years ago, that was. I went through the list of managers that I knew. It was only back to managers I knew. And back to Bill Nicholson, because I remember going down there when I was 9 years of age.
Right.
With my father. We won the double.
Did you actually live in Tottenham?
I lived in Enfield, which is just a...
Right, yes. I lived in Edmonton,
short bus ride on Enfield Highway. So just short bus ride down. And and I sort of come up with those. I thought, well, I've written the one about the 7 best. It's one about the 7 worst. And they're all sitting... I've got all of these on my... And I've got the 7 best games and the 7 worst games. I've got 4 sort of books, all of around about 7,000 or 8,000 words, maybe a bit more, about managers and stuff.
What, actually written?
Written, ready to go, if once I decide to put them a bit harder.
Okay, so what's stopping you from publishing them?
Because I like the writing more than the publishing.
Well, the thing is, I don't know, how did you self-publish your property book?
Yeah, well, I did them through Amazon, yeah. I self-published through Amazon, yeah.
So then you would be doing the same with your football books.
Football books, yeah.
So you would need to go through the process.
Yeah.
Well, aren't you in a position where you could actually just outsource that for somebody else to do that for you?
Yes, I could do, yeah. It's
because then you would keep the beauty of the writing without worrying about the back office kind of stuff.
That has struck me as a good idea. And I'm just really working on the first book at the moment. And I'm also writing a second serious book, Escape the Rat Race.
Sorry, second serious or second series?
No, serious.
Serious,
I think property serious. Escape the Rat Race is what I call a serious book. But the
football is not.
Football's more important and more important
in
life,
different ways.
Yeah, it's a lifestyle. No,
I suppose it is actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just write this book, which is really a prequel to investing, because it sort of gives you a roadmap for escaping from being in the daily grind to getting outside that and doing other things. And one of the things you say in there is find another way to earn money. So investing is another way to earn money.
Yes.
You know, property investing. And so that's why I wrote that after I'd written the first one. And I remember when I was in my last job as contracting, I had a little thing up on the wall, and it actually had to escape the rat race. And I had the 7 titles down of what I wanted to do on the piece of paper. And I used to tick them off every now and again. My boss used to come around and go, he's ticked another one off, and walk away.
What were the 7 things on that little list? Do you recall?
I used the word escaped. So
Okay.
I can't, off the top of my head, I can't remember. I write
Okay,
things down.
see what you can recall.
Oh, empowerment, I think, and smart for smart options. Don't rely on your employers, and all that type of thing. That where you've got to bring the onus back onto you. You've got to make the decisions, and that's what the 7 chapters were all about. So that's why I just sort of I came up with the chapters sort of in a general format of what I wanted to talk about, and then I tried to come up with a mnemonic that with the same number of letters that related to each of the chapters, so that you could.
That's getting hard, isn't it? Then.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's why my current book, because it's PRRR rather than BRR, I call it the perfect way to
Sorry,
investment.
the PRRR being
purchase, refurbish, rent, and refinance.
Oh, okay. So
and I call it the guy who mentored me didn't like me because I wanted to call that I wanted that to be the title, but you said no, use it as the subtitle, the perfect way to financial freedom. So
that's good.
I used the P's, little U, 3 big R's, and then feck way to. But then we didn't use it as
what a shame! It is actually a really good idea.
I actually got it it's on the back cover. The perfect way to do. So yeah, it's all over the book somewhere.
So is that book written as well?
Oh yeah, the property one's written, but the Escape the Rat Race is I've written
in the making.
Yeah, I've got probably 2,000 to 2,500 words a chapter, but I'm still working on it, tidying it up.
Right.
A lot of it, I say, it flows out of me. When I'm more relaxed. If you ask me to write something now, I probably couldn't. But
of course, because you're nervous in front of the camera and that kind of thing.
No, it's just because I'm doing something else. Most of my book was put together on a beach in France, drinking rosé wine. And I say that in the introduction, that I had bits and pieces of it, and I just had a notebook in front of me, and I'd be sitting there watching the tide. Sun was out. We were there for 3 weeks, so I just used to got my book out and I'd write a page or something, stop, we'd have a drink, we'd go for a walk on the beach, go for a swim, come back, I'd read a book.
Write a little bit more.
And then write a little bit more, have some lunch, write a little bit more. And
so how much of your writing, because you mentioned notebooks a couple of times now, how much of your writing do you actually physically do with a pen and paper?
No, I do quite a lot, actually. I'm more a pen and paper person, but I then transpose that into, so my first edit phase is taking it off the paper and putting it into workflowing.
Okay, so you then get on with the typing. So you can type all right? Or just one finger, really?
Yeah. That's why writing's a lot quicker.
Yes. I mean, I used to work in an office. I used to work as an administrator. So back at the very, very beginning, when I first started computing, I actually learned to blind type. I can still write almost quicker than I can think on a keyboard. Not quite as quick as people speak.
Yeah.
Because I need to, mind you, it's obviously being foreign as well. I still kind of translate to a certain extent, and then it gets processed multiple times.
So I wondered, what do you listen in English, thinking?
I do.
And then write in English again.
Yeah, I do. I do listen and understand and dream and think and speak and write in English, but there is still an element of processing going on between the two languages. Sometimes, not always, because occasionally I find myself very hard to, it's very hard to explain something in Hungarian, a process that I learned entirely in English. So if I only know the words, like specific words, like technical words in English, then, I've been here since I was 21, 30 years. If I never actually learned a word in Hungarian or in context in Hungarian, then I just don't know. So I then ask people, so this is roughly what I do. How do you explain that? Or what word do you use? Then, of course, over those 30 years, a whole lot of foreign words, largely English, got built into the language. So I started telling my family about podcasting. My dad still doesn't understand. Even though the concept has been around for a long time with people literally like us sitting down on a stage talking to an audience, now we just do it to the camera and put it out to a lot bigger audience. But I asked my brother and he said, the word podcasting is how it's being used. So it's not with the ing at the end, whatever. It's Hungarianized, so to speak, but it's called a podcast. So there you go. Yeah, obviously different generations take it on differently. So there is an element of processing. So that's really interesting that you still, well, probably could be called old school.
Yeah, old school.
You
Definitely
write
old school,
pen to paper, and then
very neat writing as well. I've been told.
wow.
Anybody can read it.
Oh, that's beautiful.
My notes that I take in courses, even I can't read them sometimes. But I can.
But somebody else can.
maybe a doctor could sometimes, but I have trouble sometimes reading what did I write that for? What was that all about? But yeah.
I love what you said about also the conversion from paper to first digital draft gives you that option or opportunity, I should rather say, to then start to refine.
I do some of that because when I'm writing, it's literally, I'm not really thinking about it. It's just coming out and I'm putting on a sheet of paper. And then when I look at it again, I think, oh yeah, I could express that in a different way. And of course, now you've got all these AI tools that you can put it into there. And sometimes I'll put something in there and it will come off and I'll look at it and go, that's not how I'd say it. But it may be better than what I've written. But then I think I'll rewrite what they've said, but more in my own way. So it gets rewritten a third time. So it's getting swapped around a bit. But yeah.
That's really interesting. Have you actually had any AI training?
My mentor has given me some on Claude. We did some work on Claude.
Is Claude one of the writing
Claude
AI?
Claude AI, yeah.
I've sat in a couple of little AI training sessions. Actually, I just mentioned it to another guest. We did an earlier interview. It's 30% what you put in, 40% what you get out, and then 30% of what you do with it.
Yeah.
But that first 30% of what you put in has to be really good. So it's the quality of your prompts. Because if you're actually quite sort of happy with the words you use and your style, tell AI that I'm happy with X, Y, Z of what you've done. And then can you just do, and then again, be very specific with your instructions. And that way it probably won't rewrite your text as much as otherwise it might do.
When I've been working on Claude, I think it understands how I write in some ways.
Well, the more you feed into it, it will pick up your style anyway.
Because I actually said to it once, I like, it's like you're talking to somebody. I like what you've written, but it's not in my style. You know what my style is, rewrite it. So it swapped it around. I read it and I thought, that's nearly what I would have written, you know, from what they'd written, how I'd read. But I still tweaked it a little bit because I know, I want my own thoughts and all my own actions on the paper. I don't want it to be an AI. I know people say you can write a book in AI in 2 days without actually just coming up with an idea and tell AI to write
exactly, and then it does all the research and stuff. And some people do it just for fun kind of thing. But it depends on what your intention is, because if you want to write a reference book, you can do that. If you want to write your story, you don't want to.
My first ever book that I wrote was again about Tottenham Hotspur.
Okay.
My mentor, we were talking, and he said, "Have you ever used the Otter AI?"
Yeah.
I went, no. He said, "Well, you just talk into your phone, and then
I was going to ask you about that.
It transcribes it onto a piece of paper, and then you can go through it, edit it." And so he said, "What have you done recently?" I said, "Well, I just been to the Champions League final." And I said to him, "We had a great day out in Amsterdam, the game before that." He said, "Why don't you write about that?" So I literally wrote about our trip to Amsterdam, the game, the excitement, and the feeling afterwards.
Yeah.
And the book was called That More a Moment, because our centre forwards got 3 goals scored in the last minute to take us through to the Champions League final. So I wrote a little bit. He said, "Well, it's not quite enough it's only a small book. It's about 60 pages. But it's really, it's self-published. I gave it all to my mates.
I thought of, you could turn it into a comic with little graphics and stuff.
Well, I've seen one that someone has done like that, and he had him and some friends went over in a car. There's pictures of him in the car, pictures of them eating, well, not pictures, but cartoons of them doing that.
Okay.
And then the game and jumping around and crying and all that. same sort of thing we did, but I put mine in words. And my mates all got copies of this, and I wrote about the Man City game beforehand where we were knocked out, but then VAR came in and saved us, and then we got through to the final. And then I wrote about the final. It's only a very short thing, not very good.
It's really weird. 15 years ago, I would have known every single name you mentioned.
Yeah.
And now, obviously, I've been...
Yeah, my wife doesn't understand it either now.
I used to.
Yeah.
And actually, it wasn't just Spurs that I understood and the players and the managers, but the whole Premiership.
Yeah.
I was a little bit I knew a little bit, whatever was current. But since we parted with my ex-husband, I don't follow football at all. So all of these names are foreign to me now.
If your ex-husband's a football fans, his friends are probably football fans, so this conversation turns to football. So it's useful if you can throw a few words in to help. My wife and I met on the terraces, and she used to go to lots of away games with me when I was younger. Now I go with my daughter. She's an avid Spurs fan. She's a mad Spurs fan, but she's just moving house recently, so she didn't go at the final. As the game was coming to an end, myself, along with lots of other people there, were FaceTiming your family back in England. And me and my daughter were almost in tears as the game was ending because we just FaceTimed.
You were so sharing.
And all my mates were around us as well. We were all cheering. So
I'm surprised you all had Wi-Fi connection there because probably everybody was on their phone.
Oh, well, it lasted for a little while. Then when everybody who wasn't on the phone got on the phone, it just went blah.
Yeah,
everybody dropped out because there's lots of people I've spoken to afterwards, both on Facebook and other social media are available. They said, we were all talking to the family at home, and all of a sudden it just went black.
Yeah,
because so many
21st century problems,
so 35,000 people trying to get on the phone to talk to their family in one little sort of like quarter of an acre. But it was great. No, so it's disappointing she couldn't come in, but she's prepared for next season. She's actually booked a room, an apartment in Budapest. That's where the Champions League final was going to be.
Okay.
So she booked that after when the Europa League was over. She calmed down a bit. She sat there.
Whoever is playing, she'll be there.
Only if we're playing. She will let it go.
I can tell you that Budapest is an amazing city. So irrelevant of the football game, you can still go along and enjoy the city. I mean, of course, I'm biased, but
my wife and I went there. We've done a few of those sort of Prague, Budapest, and a few other places like that. I thought Budapest was very nice. And then Pest on the other side of the hill, the river. Yeah, it was very nice. Yeah, nice country. So a lot of these issues with the in 1958 where the shootings had been and everything like that. 56. Because I belong, at my age now, I belong to an organisation called Men in Sheds. I'd like to get a plug in for that. It started in Australia, but it's to help men who've retired.
Right.
Meet other men who've retired. So we have a porter cabin, and we go there and they do a lot of woodworking and other things. And then
actual physical meeting in your location.
Yeah,
right.
They meet where our shed's open every day. And one of the guys in there, his name is Giza, and he escaped from Hungary by crawling across the border. And he cycles as far as he could. And then they were going to crawl across the border, and there was a Hungarian border guard there, saw them and sent them a different way. He said, they don't go that way, the Russians are that way. And he's been over, he would end up in Scotland and came down. And he's a solid member of our Men in Sheds.
Oh, cool.
Again, as much as I like writing, I'm editor of their newsletter.
Oh,
so
brilliant.
I persuaded him to give me a story about his escape from Hungary and his first bit of life in England. So the first bit was about escaping from Hungary. The second bit was in Scotland and learning, showing his trade and stuff, and moving down to London. So I wrote two articles about him. So that's what I said.
Beautiful.
I write about anything really.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it was exciting. That was, and when you read his story, and everybody who read it, they all knew he'd been there, but they didn't realise how he got away.
What it took
because everybody gets a copy of it, electronically, or somebody gets it physically. Everybody was saying what a great story. They haven't said anything how good it was to me. They've just said how good it was to Giza. And I'm sitting there taking the notes, listening to him, telling me the story.
It's still so funny to me because my brother is called Geza. It's actually pronounced Geza.
Yeah.
But of course, everybody called him Giza. He lived in London for about 7 years, and everybody called him Giza.
Oi, Giza, yeah.
And then, of course, some people think like, well, why are they calling you a bloke? It's Giza. But anyway, go back to your writing.
Yes.
All along, I've been meaning to ask, the questions keeps coming back in my head, is have you tried dictating? And then, of course, you brought up Otter AI. So have you used Otter AI?
I've used it a few times. I did some of it for one of my Spurs books. I was just sort of thinking about the games that I'd been to. I had to sort of look back and try and think, when was that game? And I sort of looked back and I thought, yeah, we lost. Oh, it's a terrible game that was. So once
that fits into the 7
yeah.
worst games.
So then I sort of started dictating it. I remember what the day was, and one of the games was we were playing our local enemies, and I'm one of these people who won't leave a game early.
No,
I was so frustrated at that game. My friend's wife was with us, and she was moaning about she needed a dress for the evening, and my mate wasn't going to leave. And I said, "Come on, Jenny, I'll take you home. I'll take you back there." So I left early, drove her to Enfield, which was not far away.
No,
She bought a dress, and then the girl goes, "Do you like your wife's dress?" "Not my wife." Oh, they sort of looked at me a bit strange. He's buying a dress and it's not his wife, it's not my friend's wife. And they sort of even worse. And then, of course, she comes out. She said, "What do you think of this?" I said, "Oh, it looks lovely." Because she wanted a nice dress to go out. So it was it was a very fancy dress, but it showed off quite a lot of.
Okay.
Oh yeah, it's very nice. And the woman was looking at me and looking at her and looking at me and looking at her. I was thinking, oh dear, I think we should explain what's. And it's
none of her business, really. But anyway,
no.
Let's leave it. Yeah,
I've mentioned that I have a slightly wicked sense of humour.
Yeah, let's have a bit of fun. Is what I was going to say.
I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that. And so yeah.
But did you actually miss something exciting from the end of the game?
No, we lost 5-0, and I just had enough by that. It was 4-0 when I left, so I didn't miss much.
But wasn't there? Oh, this is again, as I say, going back probably in excess of 15 years. But wasn't there a Manchester United game where people left? Like crowds were leaving, and then they ended up scoring silly amount of goals, and they won the game.
Yeah, there's been a few games like this where fans have left. I remember we were down there with my father, and Jimmy Greaves was playing. I can't remember we were playing, and we were 1-0 down, and never looking like we were going to win. And then all of a sudden, Jimmy Greaves got the blokes were moaning at him, shouting at him. Fans were leaving, and then he scored his first goal. And because it was a big shout, they knew it was a Spurs goal. So people were trying to get back in. And then he scored his second goal, and the bloke next to us, well, not far from us, what a great player he was. And my dad said, "You know what he was saying a few minutes ago? Yeah, he was saying he's the worst thing ever." I said, it's a typical football fan. Fickle. You go from one extreme of hate to one extreme of love, back to the extreme of hate again. So yeah, I enjoy the banter at football. I used to like it more when you could get closer to the opposition fans, not because I like fighting. No way, I'm definitely not. But because I used to like the banter, and I love going to local league games. My son and I. And my daughter and I, and even all four of us, my wife, my daughter, and your son, son and myself, go to some of the local teams around our way. And you're sitting there, and you're with the opposition fans, and we don't even know the home team, but we know we're with, say, Biggleswade, and the other lot's from, I don't know, Leighton or somewhere like that, and we're always supporting these and having a go at the team in the red and white and everything.
Do you find that when it's local games or up to a certain level, it is banter, and then when it gets to the really high level, then it becomes violence?
Football violence is nothing like I remember when I was 14 and 15. My son did his degree in Lincoln, and he decided to write about football hooliganism, football violence, because he knew someone in the police force who got him who took him showed him all the police side of it. And I bought him a book called The Tottenham Massive. Now, I didn't know at the time what the Tottenham Massive was all about.
Right,
but when he showed me some of the pictures, there were people in there who I knew from when I was a lad, who were a lot older, and these were the guys who were the leaders of the Tottenham Massive, which was our football violence crew.
What sort of years are we talking about here?
That would have been late 60s, early 70s.
Oh, okay.
I sort of started going down there on my own about 68 when I was 15.
Right. I lived in Tottenham for about 9 years. But yeah, that was from sort of 95 to whatever.
And you knew someone who knew someone who knew someone who knew someone else. And you go along to the game, and these boys would be there, and you'd be on the periphery of a periphery of a periphery. And then all of a sudden they would say, right, you lot this way. The Man United fans are coming, we're going to go and have a fight with them. And you think, oh, I don't want anything to do with this. But you would drag the...
Oh, wow, okay.
Sort of you'd go to turn around, there'd be 4 or 5 of them standing behind you. You didn't have to do anything. It was just the fact that there was 50 of you.
There's a mob,
20 of you were going to have a fight, and 20 of them were going to have a fight, and the other 30 would just run away. It was. I just thought it was mindless. I've never thought that violence is a solution to anything.
On that note, that's enough about football.
Football, definitely.
Let's talk about business in later life.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
So another question I want to ask you is, do you have any routine how you write? I mean, you obviously mentioned the seaside and watching the sunset and having a glass of rosé, but in general, do you have any routine about it?
I try to sit down every day, and as I mentioned earlier, to start writing 3 words. Even if it's nothing to do with what I want to write,
Okay.
I start writing something, just
You just
describing.
break the white page, the empty page
exactly.
syndrome.
You've got there's black lines on a piece of paper, and then you can sort of get further down and think, oh yeah, this thing, what was I thinking about the smart techniques? So you start writing something about measurable or time related or achievable. So you'd write something about that. And then again, when I've written it, I'll sit down sometimes, or my wife actually, as on occasions, said, "You're so slow at typing. Give me what you want to."
Is she able to help?
Well, yeah, she used to. Well, she came up in office as admin and then become a buyer and all that type of stuff. She had a decent job before we had a family, and her typing was quite was good.
Yeah.
And she sits there, she sets herself up. I see her setting herself up, getting ready to go, and then all of a sudden, her head will turn to the side, and off it will go. And then she said,
blind
right, so
typing.
I get it, and I think there's a few mistakes in it, but I never say there's a mistake in there. I said, "Thank you very much," because all I have to do is go through and go click with my fingers and create one mistake rather than click every word.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a huge amount of help, isn't it? Rather than criticize it. That's really cool. So you actually write every single day?
Yes.
Oh wow, that's
Saturdays and
admirable.
Sundays as well. Sometimes it may only be a few bits and pieces, literally a couple of sentences.
Or do you consider any editing writing? But
No,
once it's digital and you start.
No, once the writing is one thing. That to me is I write every day. If I haven't written, and it's 10 to 12, I will get my notebook out and write something.
What, 10 to 12 noon?
10 to 12 night.
Yeah. Oh wow.
And I spoke again, talking to my mentor. I said, I realised I hadn't written. I'd been out all day and I'd been had a few beers, so I was just sort of chilling out. I was just going to bed. I hadn't written today, so I got up and it was about 5 to 12, and I started writing, and it got to 12:15. So I sent him a message. I managed to do 2 days writing in a quarter of an hour. I said I was out on the.
I'm not done for the Sunday.
I was out on the lag with the boys, and I came home, started writing at 5 to and finished at 12:10. Does that count as 2 days or 1 day? And he just wrote back big numbers on his one. And put an exclamation mark, 1 day, because you started 1 day, it doesn't count.
When you sit down to write, do you then have any kind of, again, like routine obviously comes to mind, but certain things you do
I like to get myself comfortable, of
get
course.
the juices flowing.
Yeah, I get comfortable. I've usually had a little bit of a game on my computer. I like to relax with a...
What sort of game?
Match 3 games, crib.
Anything and everything.
Yeah, anything,
okay,
yeah.
so
Simple,
something to...
Nothing just to clear the mind a little bit. So
disconnect you from what you did up to that point.
And then I sit down and think, right, I don't think I've got to write something. I just sort of literally pick the pen up and put it on the paper, and it maybe I sometimes write down things that have upset me that day, which sometimes helps, Okay. I write things down like that and then underline that, and I start again. I've got a couple of books where I used to do a lot of traveling on trains and stuff. I do a lot of observations about people.
That is such a brilliant pastime.
I used to commute from my station in Alsey to Stevenage. It's only 11 minutes, but you get on the train and you'd see the person, the seat middler. He'd sit in the middle of 2 seats like this and have his bag next to him. So the train's full up, but no one could sit next to him. So he had a double seat to his own.
Right.
And you get the other one who sits on the outside, and when someone talks to them to move in, they fall asleep,
Yeah.
And you notice a lot of these things, and then you've got the talker whoever sits next to him starts talking to him. And I've observed all this in 11 minutes from getting on the train to getting off the train. And so I sometimes have a little notebook in my man bag, and I just sort of put a little note down, write about the talker, write about the seats.
Oh, okay.
So I and just a little memoir. So they want to I used to go in the office sometimes and get my cup of coffee, fire up the computer and I'd type something on my works computer and then send it to myself.
Yes, of course. Did you ever come up with a game for yourself that you would have a list of all of these people, all of the characters you identified?
That's a good idea.
And then just tick them off. See how many you met or saw or came across.
On an 11-minute journey, you only don't get a chance to see that many people, because the train used to be quite busy.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll go up north. I'll still go up north on the train, and it may be a good idea there. I've got these 10 types. Let's tick them all off as I go along.
Go carry shopping.
Passenger bingo,
Passenger bingo, love that. Really good
and all of a
name.
sudden you're sitting there and go, house, I found 5 in a row.
Full house, yeah.
Brilliant.
Brilliant.
I sort of pick up on things sometimes. I observe life. Someone has said to me, you observe life, you take the mickey out of lots of people, not necessarily to their face, but you take the mickey out of lots of people. And
well,
maybe you should become a comedian.
Well, in a way, you perhaps are. You're obviously a storyteller, and for that you need to be observant in order to process what's going on in life and around you, to then be able to put pen to paper and write about it.
I find that when I'm doing the training at the ESA, that when I'm put on the spot, I freeze.
Okay.
And I actually worried that coming on here, I might go look at this microphone and go, I can't do it, But
I don't think you felt like that, did you?
Because I know you're relaxed. To me, yes, it's in the way, but we're just having a chat.
Yeah,
about
absolutely.
Stuff that both of us are interested in, routines, careers over 50, that type of thing. So yeah, I enjoy it. But I can talk better outside of class, so to speak, than I can in class.
I think that's the whole beauty of actually doing the academy, is that we get the chance to practice getting rid of those feelings on the stage. Now, I don't have stage fright. Now, that's a really weird thing, because I don't understand genuinely what people feel when even the sheer thought of going on stage or picking up a microphone would make them feel. I must be missing a gene or something. I don't know. Give me a microphone and I'm happier. You know what I mean? I'm happy to talk in front of as many people as can fit in a room, or 5,000 if necessary. I don't feel that fear. I get a little butterfly, but only because I'm worried that I don't know what I want to say or forget what I want to say, but not because of the crowd or because of the stage or because of the microphone.
I'm not sure whether it's because I talk to you now because I know you, and I've spoken in front of 100 people at my local library, because we had a celebration, and I just stood up and promoted. Just none of them were interested in my book, but it was my very first ever speaking gig, and I didn't know anybody there apart from the librarian and one of the counsellors, and so I just got up and I spoke about my book, told them what was in it. Not a problem. But as soon as I walk in that class with 10 or 12 people who I sort of know, and who are expecting me to be,
but the most interesting thing is that
I just seem to freeze in front of them.
That is the exact crowd who will not judge you.
I know. I don't know. I
We
don't know.
Humans are the most bizarre creatures ever, aren't we?
Yeah, I just can't work out why. I'll be sitting there and I'll be ready to go. And as soon as I get up, the mouth goes dry, and I've lost words. I don't know what I'm doing. Even when I did the discovery, the first, I sat in my hotel room the night before, went through my talk without notes, and I spoke for about 25 minutes.
Yeah.
When you did, I came in the next day. I got up the next morning. I did another 20. I went through it again. Not the same words, but it was the same length.
Pretty much.
And I thought, I'm good here. And I went in, and I couldn't get the first spot, because I think maybe I got the first spot, but I got the second spot, and it just all fell apart.
Pieces.
You
Can I just ask that in your speech, do you promote your book, or do you promote your writing?
I promote the book because I'm working with an internet marketer, and we're looking to build a business on the back of my book.
Here is something you missed yesterday at the Academy Day. Our mentors showed us 3 videos in the training session of people who won Toastmasters competitions. Every one of them used a prop. So it was a really interesting thing. They were funny, they were confident, and you could list all the things they were. They obviously won whatever the competition was, different categories, maybe different years. We didn't have any details. We just saw the 3 clips of how they introduced their speech. But all three of them used a prop. So here's yours. Take your book.
Mm-hmm.
Read a good, funny little short paragraph from it. And that prop will then sort of bridge you from the stage fright into hearing your own voice and then getting on with your speech.
Good idea. I agree with you about Toastmasters. I've been to one meeting. I wanted to go more, but they only do one live meeting a month.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do the online ones. I don't feel I get anything out of those. So
I did ask about that because I went along 2 hours locally, and they said, well, sometimes you need to deliver things on Zoom. And then I suddenly thought, of course, I want to deliver masterclasses online, so I need to know how to conduct myself. So it does make sense.
Well, one of the guys there, he was going for the national award of this year, and I looked at him and I thought, he's got a terrible prosthetic arm. You know, it was awful. It looked like something. It looked like a doll's arm.
Oh.
And when he got up on the stage, his talk was about his embarrassment that he was running for a train, slipped over, and his arm came flying out. And as he was doing the actions, and my arm came flying out, and of course, his arm came flying out. And everyone went, ah.
Yeah.
And which is what he wanted. He wanted to get that from the crowd.
Absolutely.
And even though some of them had seen it before, they still sort of went. And he said, I spoke to him after. He said, "I've got a better one than this. This is my show arm. This is my prop arm. Yeah, this is what I use for speeches." He says.
This is all then battered.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is. I mean, sometimes when I'm recording videos for Facebook for my internet marketer, I will have the book in front of me and mention it and just lift it up. One of the ones I did for the class was we had to show them what we were talking about and the free gift. So I had my book in this hand, and I was talking to them, and I said, copy my book. But you get this free gift, and I bought. It was only just the front sheet of a free gift. I stapled some blank bits of paper to the back of it, so it didn't fall over when I lifted it up. So I sort of had a bit of card on it, so I lifted it up so they could see the title of it. And Catherine and Paul both thought it was quite good. But again, he actually said it's one of your best you've done because you seem to be talking naturally.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's your clue then. Maybe use a prop.
Yeah.
And be an award-winning speaker.
Well, maybe, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I'd say other things. What I like to do in the mornings as part of my routine, which I suppose is more health related, is I try and get up every morning and go for a short walk just to start the day.
That's fantastic. Because keeping yourself physically active is just as important as everything else.
So I feel like I need to just get out and get started. Kick starts the day. And then I come back, have a bit of breakfast, and then do whatever the wife wants to do.
The boss.
I mean, I get very frustrated sometimes at home because I said to her, "What do you want to do today?" "Nothing." "Okay, fine. Can I get on with my work?" Yeah. Well, yeah.
And then, of course, after breakfast.
She goes work. Yeah. And then about 10:30, she says, "Oh, can we go to Biggleswade to do some shopping?" Yeah.
After lunch.
Can you give me an hour? Well, I want to go now. Why can't you tell me at 9:30? Yeah. Well,
I just thought about it.
So and then it's like she does the vegetables, and I said, "Well, just leave a note and a post-it note. Tell me what you want done, and I'll do them." "But you're always working." "Yeah, but this is 43 years of marriage. We still can't communicate properly with each other."
That sounds. It sounds funny.
It's best.
Bless.
But it's we get on. We get on all right.
Or maybe that is your routine.
Yeah, that is the routine. Yeah, to row and bicker all day long, then we feel better for it. We go to bed. No, I mean other things. What do I try and plan my day out as well. If I'm going to make calls about my property business, I'll try and book them in at a certain time. I try and send emails. I try and turn my emails off for a couple of hours in the morning so that if I am working, I'm sometimes it's writing, sometimes it's chasing up things on property. I'm doing a remortgage at the moment. I'm selling a couple of them off. So, over the years I've built a portfolio, and I'm sort of starting the outside. I'm taking off the ones that are a little bit more troublesome.
Okay.
And I'm just sort of cutting them back to the ones that are
working
the
well.
best turnover, that require the least effort on mine and my letting agents' parts, so that when I move forward, it's it's less to worry about, and
Well, it makes sense. You are reviewing your business, you streamlining your business. And
giving the problems to somebody else.
Well, there'll always be a startup, somebody who will be happy to grab it, and then they feel they can make it better. But it sounds like that you're quite happy to give your business a bit of a health MOT. Well, talk about routine, and you mentioned your little walk in the morning, which is fantastic for your physical health. But I really like what you talked about earlier about the men in shed, because although you say that you are doing practical stuff in this.
Well, they do. I don't. I just go down there and meet the guys, chat to them, talk about the newsletter. And,
okay. But that's your physical thing.
That's my bit
the
of
newsletter.
Yeah.
But technically, you are doing things, or you think that you are meeting to do things, but it's a lot more about the mental health, because you have company, you have communication, you're not cooped up at home on your own or with the wife.
Yeah. Well,
But I think that is super important for your mental health to have that
especially
environment.
Some of the guys there with the words, it's like a social club. And in fact now,
yes, absolutely.
And what they're doing now, because there's been a lot of requests, on a Monday afternoon, I go there with my wife and we learn to play bridge. On a Wednesday morning, I don't go. She goes on a Wednesday morning to an art class there.
What, to hold an art class for them?
No, she in the bridge class. The woman who runs the bridge class is the wife of the president of our Men in Sheds.
Right.
So because it's good for the men. There's 7 men and 2 women on the art class.
Okay.
And for the cards, for the bridge, there's 6 blokes and 4 women. So we all go in there and play bridge on a Monday, and learning to play bridge. And so that they what they're doing is they're trying to incorporate the wives in as well, because some of them like to be with their husbands, and it's a joint thing as I call that my wife and mine's date night. So Monday afternoon bridge. It's cheaper as well.
With 10 other people.
Yeah, and it's cheaper than having to go to the cinema or buy her a beer. But
oh well.
But yeah,
I tell you what, that's really quite interesting. Again, that it's a men's organization for all intents and purposes. Yet women are allowed.
Yeah.
Now, at the end of our road, there was a men's working club.
Men's working club,
and all the way until the day it closed, so a year or 2 before COVID, so very, very recent, they refused women entry. Even though the club had a women's darts team, and a few years before, they actually won some tournament. They came back to celebrate, and they weren't allowed in to have a drink. The guys who were in there were bringing seats, like chairs out for them to the front garden and bought the drinks for them to drink outside. I mean, to be honest, at that point, I would have just packed up the darts team as it was kind of thing. I mean, so it's, in the 21st century, I did not expect to hear of such
well, my father used to belong to a working men's club many years ago.
I mean, saying that, I know that there are loads of women only, but I don't know. I suppose it's a massive can of worms, isn't it?
The working men's club, it was designed for working men. But on any evening, there was always women in there. Husbands would take their wives into the club, but they couldn't become a member. But they could be
present. They could be
present. Yeah. So there was always Saturday night concerts and everything. So it was always full up, and a few other things like that used to go on like that. Yeah.
So that sounds like a wonderful little community you have there.
It's quite it's fun. Again, you've got your characters, and you've got the people who seem so self-important because I'm on the committee. Like, yeah, all right, mate. So you're on the committee. So what? Vote you off next year. Like and moaning about this and moaning about that. But I just go along. I write the newsletter when I get enough information, and we just send it out. And it's a good little group. And of course, they've got so many tools as well. Like I was trying to do some work for my daughter, and I needed some tools, so I went in and sorted them all out, filled the chitty book in, took them home, used them. I'll take them back next week. Yeah.
Brilliant. Do you do a little hire system from there?
Oh,
so
it's all free. It's all free.
Yeah, but I suppose, Do people just bring in the tools that they don't want to use, and then it's just kind of donated to the club?
Do we? Sometimes, without being rude, people know about Men in Sheds, and sometimes the wife or husband will pass away. So she's now a widow. See, I've got the right word this time. She'll be a widow, and she's got a garage full of tools that her husband's got. And next thing you know, she's phoning us up. I've got some tools. How many? Oh, it's just a few. And you go in
the car full.
A van full of them, and we bring them in, like, and there might be 15 hacksaws. And we think, well, we've already got 15 hacksaws. We don't want another 15 hacksaws. So then we have a sale, and some of the members will buy them. We sometimes sell them on to other
garage sale,
and we invite people around. £1 for a hacksaw, which is, we're cheaper than we're B&Q, and it's probably a better quality one as well. And it's all sorts of different types of, and we're upgraded. We also have lots of good equipment. We've got a CNC routing machine.
Oh, wow.
And they make...
Fabulous.
Geezer is the Superman for that. He's the excellent person. He's 87, 86, and he is really good. He knows how to program it. He sets it all up. And we make plaques out of it. We make different things. We do pyrography, which is like burning. Yeah. And then we paint those in and sell them on. And coming up towards Christmas, we'll make Christmas trees out of pallets.
Brilliant.
Cut pallets and put lights on them.
Absolutely,
and we
brilliant.
go to Christmas fairs and sell them.
I was going to say, what do you do with the money? Do you just support the club?
Members will go off. I live quite a way away from it, so I'm not there as often as I some of the guys are there. I mean, there's a modern railway club, and over the last 6 months, I can show you, they have built a fantastic network. And because it's so big, to break it down, they've made it modular. So I've got all these pieces that we got shelving about as tall as the walls in here, and about foot shelving, and each of those has got a slab of this train set in it. So and they all lock together. They've got so it can be taken down, put into there. All the buildings are taken off and put into boxes and put into these. So it all comes apart, and it takes them about hour and a half to put it together.
Oh my goodness!
Put the whole thing together. They did it yesterday.
But this is in the shed.
We have what we call this. We got the shed, which is the old porter cabin, and we're now in it's an old church, and we've taken over another part of it, which is called the craft centre, which is where we play bridge, where we do the painting, where they build the model railway, and I
totally adore your little community. That sounds fantastic, really inspirational. I mean, I want to teach people how to look after their physical, mental, intellectual, and spiritual health. It sounds like you, as a group, not so much the physical, I suppose, but the intellectual, mental, spiritual health. Even if people would say that they don't do anything about it, this club represents exactly that. That community, that communication. Absolutely. Looks after those areas of health, and also the bridge, the creating, that keeps your intellectual health fresh and up to date and active.
We have our own Wordle club on WhatsApp, so every day we use the New York Times, and we're all sending our answers in at various times of the day to get that all done. So it's like a little competition who gets in. I'm usually the first one because I don't go to bed till late, so it's gone 12 o'clock. So it's clicked over. So I'm doing mine. Well, they all know I don't go to bed till 1 o'clock in the morning. So sometimes they see it there. Other times I've gone to bed early and I've woken up at 3, and I've sort of sat there. Wordle. Another member of our shed has actually moved to up near Gretna Green, and he's still an honorary member of our shed, and he's on our Wordle group. And he sometimes says, "I wish I could beat you some mornings when you get it." He said, "I get up some mornings and I see you haven't done it. And I'll go doing it. And all of a sudden, yours turns up."
Oh, bless! Little healthy competition going as well.
Absolutely, yeah. We have a good laugh about it.
Oh, that's brilliant.
It's a lot. There's a lot of communication, especially when I joined it just before COVID.
Okay.
And during COVID, we set up all these Zoom meetings, and there was this buddy calls. People who, can you phone these people up? So I used to phone 2 different people up every week, and everybody used to, say the more active ones. Some of these guys in their 80s and 90s, and they weren't as.
They could be more active than a 60-year-old.
Yeah, but in the sense of not coming back. When we say active, we don't mean physically. Active with the shed. So they were members of the shed.
Right.
Couldn't get there very often. So what we were doing was trying to keep them involved with the shed.
Yeah.
They wouldn't do the Zoom side of it. I mean, we'd have 20, 30 people on a Zoom call.
That's a lot to manage.
But
then again, you've got a few who talk, and then the rest just
exactly. There's you just got the screen on there, and there's blokes going hi, and that's it. They'll go on mute, and they just want to see people because they haven't seen anybody. They haven't seen no one since the last Zoom meeting.
You know what we did? I was in an artist group at the time, and we used to meet once a week to create stuff together. And then COVID hit. What did we do? We actually went on Zoom. We pre-organized what we're going to do, and we would just sort of gather up whatever we had at home. Obviously, we were all creative, so we all had various artistic tools and paper available and stuff. And we would just hold our little session online. So same thing. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Well, a few of us who used to go down the Spurs together. We used to have a meeting once a week to moan about everything. When there was no football, it was difficult. But once the football restarted, but we still weren't allowed to meet and go to the games. We used to, Monday morning, 10 o'clock. Oh, did you see so-and-so? He was rubbish. Everybody's ranting and raving on the Zoom call, And we never bought it. We just used the free one. So we'd ever say, right, free one, right, off, back on in a minute. Everybody off, go get a drink, come back. We'd all come back. Yeah. And what was I saying? Who was I moaning about? Someone was going, and off they'd rant again. I'll
tell you what, you could be writing books about these Zoom calls, probably.
Well, yeah.
Shane, did they ever get recorded?
No,
probably not.
No, we wouldn't dare. Someone might sue us. No, but it's interesting. That the way we all adapted quite quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, before COVID, never used Zoom. My son would never use Zoom. Never use it all the time for work. He's an online estate agent with Yopa. He doesn't. The office was they've saved 2.3 million shutting down the office that he used to work in a year.
Wow.
So they all work from home now.
Yeah, from home and online.
They've got a small office up in Hinckley that he has to go to once a month.
There you go. The world has changed a lot, hasn't it?
Yeah, but we do worry. You do worry about him. He's a single bloke. And you just think, where's he going to meet people? I met my wife at football, but I think I've told you, when you read my bio, I started as an apprenticeship at a company called Standard Telephones and Cables. My two best mates I met 2 years later there. We've been friends now since 54 years, 55 years.
That's so unusual nowadays, isn't it?
My wife worked there. My wife's mother worked there. I only went there because my father worked there and I could get a lift backwards and forwards to work in the mornings. Because we used to live quite a way. We used to live in Enfield Highway. This was at New Southgate, STC New Southgate, which is, you might know about it. And then my sister-in-law worked there. My brother-in-law, who married my sister-in-law, worked there as well. So we've all... It's very... It used to be whole families work there.
Very different world, wasn't it?
I mean, when you used to on the factory floor, you had to be very careful what you said about somebody.
Oh yeah, because they were all family.
There was sometimes there was 20 people from the same family there. And you had to be very careful what you said, especially as an apprentice. And I was the social secretary for the Apprentice Association for about 3 or 4 years, which meant that I used to
writing reports.
Well, I used to have a folder and walk around, and I'd just hold it up to the foreman, and go, Apprentice Association. So I could go in and talk to all my mates without having to worry about getting told off.
It's a bit like nowadays, you wear a high-vis jacket and you are invisible sort of thing.
Yeah. That was easy, yeah.
Do you think you have anything else up your sleeve, that a business that you might want to start up?
Well, again,
even later in life?
Or breaking on from this, the book and working with the internet marketer, we're trying to create a list of people who are interested, take the individual chapters and bring a training course out on them so that we can help people, maybe even going to mentoring. I've got a lot of contacts in the Northeast. So what I'm doing there is we do armchair investment. And a friend of mine and I find people, and he goes up there, he takes them up there, they go up on the train, he meets them up there and they show them around houses, show them the houses that we can recommend for them. And we do sourcing and project management for people up there, using our contacts up there. We've got a very good letting agent, project manager woman. She's really good. Got this excellent builder up there. So
these are people who are managing your own properties?
Yeah, they manage our properties.
So you've already got that rapport and relationship built.
We've known them for years. And so they're...
That's a perfect way of upscaling your business, isn't it?
And the idea is that we are trying to do joint ventures with them or go to PIN meetings. We tend to go to PIN meetings rather than PPN meetings. Sorry, Rob. But we've got the free intros to those, so we tend to go to those. We meet people there. We talk to them about what we do. Do our 10-second stand up, 20 seconds.
Yeah, I've been to a local. Well, my local one. Obviously, I live in Plymouth. My local one is in Exeter.
You've got property investments, in Plymouth or Oh, nice to have one locally. Mine all over the place.
That's really interesting a point actually, because there's a guy from Newcastle who's been down to a couple of the PIN meetings. Actually, I met him there twice. And I really quite like him, so I would happily buy into him, so to speak. I liked his presentation, so we signed up to his newsletter, and the team sends us stuff. Convert this house to HMO, or it's already an HMO, or buy to let, but all sorts of deals coming through. And at that stage, my husband looks at it in the first instance, and he says, to be honest, none of them are cheaper than the ones in Plymouth. What's the point of investing somewhere where we don't know? Might as well carry on investing where we do know.
Yeah, exactly.
So there you go. We always think that the grass is greener on the other side, and it really isn't.
Well, I started property investing in another business. I started after 50. My mother had Alzheimer's,
Right.
which my dad was caring for her, but he hadn't told me how bad she was.
Oh,
He
right.
only went on holiday to Spain one year, came back. Long story short, he was ill out there. I couldn't get in touch with him. I was working at BA for my American company at the time. I'd already organised a seat in the cabin of the next plane to Spain through British Airways plane. I was going to go, didn't have to get a ticket. I just turned up with a bag. I'd be sat in the cabin with the pilot.
Right.
They were going to take me out. And then all of a sudden, as I was driving home to get my passport, I got a phone call from my dad. I'm back at the hotel now. So I had a real shout and swear at him. But he said, no, I'm all right now. And he explained, I said, look, I'll ring you back. I'll go back to the office and I'll give you a ring. You're at the hotel. He said, yeah. So we had a chat. When he came back, he looked awful. He was ill. He actually rushed to hospital a couple of days later, put my mum into respite care. And my dad never really recovered. I took him out for Christmas dinner that year. It's the only time we've ever been out for Christmas dinner. And I'll never do it again because it would just remind me of how bad my dad was. I mean, he had a plate of food in front of him and it looked like he was eating it, but all he was doing was
just tossing the food around,
shoving it from one side of the plate to the other, piling bits up under another. And he went to hospital on New Year's Day and died at the end of January. So I left me with my mother. Now I was European operations manager for an American Aerospace company. So I had to, the firm are very good and they helped me out. And I only had to work a couple of days in the office, if that. So I used to be able to put my mum in respite for a couple of days. Or I'd put her in the morning, go to work, pick her up in the evening. She was staying at our house. I had to put her in the bedroom where my daughter was. And I slept in there as well because I didn't want her walking out and going around the house. Because on stairs and everything, she wasn't very safe. Eventually got her into respite, but I eventually had to leave work. So I had to find another way of making money.
Right.
So I'd always liked planning property. I'd messed around with her property and done a bit of refurb on it. You know, I didn't have to buy it. I just refurbed it and sold it and made quite a lot of money out of it. I thought, this is easy. Ching, ching, I'm off here.
It's interesting how we get into it, isn't it?
I started working for a friend as an operations manager of his car park business. I went there for 6 weeks and I stayed for nearly a year, but I was learning about property all the time.
Right, okay.
Online courses, going off to Saturday and Sunday courses. And I thought, I can do this. And I was going off to courses. I think, I know that. I can do that. I understand that. And it all made good sense to me. So I took on my 54th birthday. I took the plunge and I said, I'm packing up work. We had enough money in the bank.
And you're going to go into property.
And so I went up to Middlesbrough, partnered with another guy who was full of determination. Yes, we're going to do this. And then never bought another property in his life. I didn't want to go to Middlesbrough. I wanted to buy North Watford. It's not far from where I used to live.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have had as many properties, but at least I'd have been closer and I'd known what was going on. And we went up to Middlesbrough and I ended up buying 19 properties in 17 months.
Oh, wow.
Up there 3 days a week, every week.
That's quite something. You know what I like about your story the most? How it all entangles. So you kind of dabbled in property and then you started it up as a business. You always loved writing and then you writing book about property, how to do it, and now your experiences, and it's just nice. And then you think about teaching it and talking about it. That's really quite lovely how two very different strands have entangled and come together in your life.
I think so too.
And you still seem to be going strong.
Yeah, I try my best. Yeah, I keep going.
That's fabulous.
A few health issues on the way that have knocked me backwards.
None of us are getting younger. Our bodies are kind of giving up over time.
Yeah.
But that kind of brings me to my kind of closing questions. I know that you are writing books about property, but you have mentioned mentors yourself. having mentors yourself. Is there any resource, books, podcasts, anything that you would recommend to either budding property investors, which I would imagine would be your own book,
Oh, my own book, of course, and my own training.
Budding writers?
I found the guy, Chris Payne, who helped me, he has helped a lot of people. He takes people who have no idea about writing books, but who think they want to write a book, and he helps them. He develops them. He has a system. He has a routine. He tells you how to write the book, what you've got to do. He doesn't tell you what to put in the book. He just tells you this is how you write the book. You do.
But it's the how that's the bit, isn't it? Because the what is in your head, and your head and their head. Everybody's head
is the how is the same for everybody. I mean, my brother-in-law keeps saying, I'm going to write a book about this, that, and the other. Like Scrum, he was a Scrum leader. Nothing to do with sport. This was all to do with computing. I didn't understand what he was talking about. And he said, I'm going to write this book and I'm going to write that book. And I said, well, you've got to remember, these got to be for people to understand it. I don't even know what you're talking about. Oh, so he starts telling me. And you're going, I said, you got to make your book a bit more interesting than that, because otherwise they'll be asleep by the end of the introduction. And so he said, well, I don't know how to start. So I gave him the how. I took the notes and I showed him what to do. I even gave him the correct AI prompts to get him started.
And he still didn't.
Yes, he's done nothing.
Oh, well.
He's had them over a year now. Well, I'll find the time. Yeah, of course you will.
Never mind. I'm really happy that you are active. You seem super enthusiastic about your work. And I mean, to be honest, I can't even count up how many books you've got on the go. But I truly hope that you manage to publish every single one of them. And also that you have great success with every single one of them.
Thank you very much, Ulrika.
On that note, thank you so much for joining me for this podcast. And I truly hope that our listeners will have a little giggle at the stories that we did and take something away from.
Yeah, look me up anytime they want about property. I'll talk to anybody about property. Anytime.
Fantastic.
Anytime.
Fabulous. Thank you, Dave, so much for coming in.
Thank you for asking me. Thank you, Ulrika.
Thank you for listening to New Business in Later Life with me, Ildiko Seely, where we say no to slowing down and yes to starting up. Loved what you've heard? Please share it or screenshot it and tag me on socials. Let's show the world what thriving in later life really looks like, and share with a friend who is ready for their next chapter. Please subscribe so you are always in the loop. And if you were ready to stop running on empty and start running on purpose, come join us. All the links are waiting in the show notes, including my guests' contacts, the Encorepreneurs Club, and a few tools and services I personally use in my business to help you thrive in yours. Until next time, refuel, refocus, reinvent.